लेट हो गया फिर।
We call it people technology.
Mid-innings in qualifier 2 between Delhi Capitals and Kolkata Knight Riders. Delhi Capitals 135 on best described as a tricky pitch. Shikhar Dhawan top scoring with 36, and then you had Shreyas Iyer not out on 30. Varun Chakravarti, the pick of the bowlers, picking up 2 wickets for 26. You're watching Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout. Joining me on the program, Gautam Gambhir, Sanjay Manjrekar, and Dale Steyn. Gautam, I'm starting with you on this one. I remember in the pre-show we discussed what would be the ideal total, 150 or thereabouts. Would you want to now reset that desired total, looking at the way the pitch is played out?
I've lost you. You got to repeat your question.
Gautam, I said, at the pre-show we kept discussing what would be that ideal total, and 150 odd seemed to be the mark. Now, would you like to reset that, considering how the pitch is played? Right.
Are
I
you
don't
asking
think.
me this?
Yeah.
Gautam, I'll come back to you later. If you could you hear my question, or I'll go to Sanjay.
No,
I
you
don't
might
think.
have to repeat your question. You should,
Okay, I'll try and take this question to Sanjay. If you can hear both of us, then I'll come with you for the next question. Sanjay, you'd like to take
yeah.
that one?
Yes, I think Sharjah pitch hasn't been great right to this IPL. There was one instance earlier when Delhi Capitals played Steve Smith played that game. May have been an afternoon game where the pitch was the worst of the Sharjah pitches that we had seen until then. But tonight, I think it's the worst Sharjah pitch that we've seen in this IPL. It's unfortunate that you have this kind of a surface for a game of this magnitude. So it's a little unfortunate. You said tricky pitch, I say bad pitch.
Bad pitch. Okay, Gautam, could you hear that? All of our
Yes, I can.
conversation. Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
can.
Coming to you now. I'm just looking at the way the pitch played out. We remember that one ball from Shakib that literally went underground. 38 for one at power play at the moment. Some might have thought that there's not enough intent, but now looking at it in hindsight, was that a good enough start?
Yeah, decent start, but I still believe that they played too many dot balls as well, especially against fast bowlers. I really enjoyed the tactics which RCB had in the previous game when Virat and Devdutt Padikkal they were looking for the big shot, but at the same time they were looking to rotate the strike as well. Probably Shikhar and Prithvi, or for that matter, even Stoinis could have done a little bit more because I remember uh, in 15 overs they had already played 39 dot balls. Imagine if you probably reduce that number to 2025, you could easily be what 10, 15 runs more, which you need on this kind of a surface to be a winning total. But again, 135 on the board is a decent total on this kind of a wicket. But I've always believed in T20 cricket, the lesser dot balls you play, especially after the 6 overs till the 16 overs, you've got a better chance of probably winning the game, especially on challenging wickets like this. So the dot ball percentage was too high, to be honest. They could have actually been a little bit more smarter in probably rotating that strike, because high risk cricket on this kind of a wicket was absolutely impossible. So when you play that high risk cricket, there's always an opportunity probably you'll throw your wicket away. So only on that front, you could be a little critical about the innings which Delhi played.
I'm just looking at some few areas where they may have missed a trick. Dale, what did you make of standing Stoinis, who hadn't been playing the last few games at number three?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to back up on what Gautam said there. And like the thing about it is, on good pitches, you always at the back end of the innings, you feel like maybe you were two, maybe three boundaries away from getting to a good total or a decent total or a score that is ungettable. Like 3 hits is 6, 6, and 4 or whatever it is. Whereas at this ground, I think you have to look at the other way, and you have to take maybe a third of the amount of dot balls. If you just turn those into ones or twos, that's going to take you from 135 to 150, or even 145 could be a winning total. So that's the area that Delhi could have just missed a trick. Sometimes you sit back and you think you're 3 boundaries away from being at a total that is ungettable, like 160 or something like that. 6, 6, and 6 at some point. Whereas, they could have just taken a third of those dot balls that they faced, turned them into singles, and they've got a score that is a really good score on a bad pitch. Let's be honest. Like, you want a good contest when it comes down to these finals. You don't want to be scratching and struggling. It's unfortunate. Sharjah just hasn't come to the party the way that it did at the last IPL.
It's strip number 4 is what I've been told in Sharjah, which has been the notorious pitch all along in this season. I don't know whether it was the same pitch that was used in the game that Sanjay was talking about, where Steve Smith got those runs. But I'll take that Stoinis question to you, Sanjay.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, it was a strange move considering that the pitch was slow. There were going to be a lot of spin. Shreyas Iyer is one of the better spin in that lineup. He's been in match practice as well. I'm thinking the reason for that was better utilization of Stoinis. I guess Delhi thought if he bats down the order, he's going to have to contend with the likes of Sunil Narayan and the others on a slow pitch, which was going to be tough for a guy just coming back in. So they offered him that platform, a slightly easier sort of breaking in, but highly debatable move. I would have gone with Shreyas Iyer. Even if Stoinis would have got runs, Shreyas Iyer on that pitch would have been the ideal batter.
Gautam, we are talking about this 135 seems to be a very competitive total at the moment. I'm going to take you in that one particular instance that happened during the game. That was the Varun Chakravarti no ball. Did that make another 10, 15 run difference?
Oh, 100%. We talk about cricket being a game of inches, it's probably millimeters. And exactly after that, if you see, uh, Ferguson got hit for two sixes in that over, and probably at one stage, Delhi were looking at what 115, 120, and then suddenly they get to 135, which is still a comparable. They can actually still look to defend this total, because 135 with the kind of bowling lineup Delhi has, they would back themselves to defend this total, especially on a tricky or probably a bad wicket like what we have seen on this one.
I'm going to get into Rishabh Pant now, and just looking at ways that Delhi could have got a few more runs. Dil, to you, what did you make of his approach? You reckon he attacked a bit early at the time that he did? It was a 16th over. Had it been there towards the end, probably another 10 more runs.
That's the way that Rishabh bats, though, and we talk about it. If he had come off and he got a couple boundaries away, he could have got them to 135 by the 18th over, and then potentially they could have pushed on to 150. That's if he had come off. He didn't come off tonight. So now we scrutinize the way that he plays, and we go, maybe he went too early, and we come up with all these kind of observations of the way that he plays. But that's the way that he plays. We know Rishabh Pant plays like that, and when it comes off for him, we praise him, and we say that was brilliant, it was tactical, it was very smart thinking, and taking the game forward. Tonight it didn't pay off for him. And you know what? That's the way that he plays. I'm not going to complain. That's the way that he kind of goes about his business. Because had he come off, they would have found themselves at 135 around the 18th, 19th over, and then who knows what could have happened in the last two overs, and they could have pushed on to 150. So unfortunate for them that he got out in that manner, and probably did try and push a little bit too hard, too early.
How did Owen Morgan marshal his troops is the next point of discussion. Sanjay, to you, one thing that really stood out, the way he handled Shivam Mavi. I think if there was only one bowler that may have been slightly a little low in confidence, that may have been Mavi. He doesn't bowl him in the power play, brings him right as soon as the power play gets over. Kind of paid out up until that last over. And the remaining spinners, the way he used them today.
Yeah, interesting that he bowled all four of Shakib. Also, he wasn't afraid to get him even when the left-hander was batting, because he spotted Dhawan was not really, getting into any kind of flow. I've been very impressed with Morgan right through the tournament. Tells you the virtues of, having a good captain with good, tactics in his mind, thinking on his feet. It's worth just having a captain, even if he's not contributing, because T20 cricket is such a tactical game, and one little move has such a huge impact. Really impressed, like the way that he kept Lockie Ferguson for Rishabh Pant, and the choice of ball that he bowled to Rishabh Pant. Varun Chakravarti, I think, outbowled Sunil Narayan. I like the way he uses them as well. So nothing really to fault, apart from the fact that maybe he got Sunil Narayan a bit too early when he bowled his first over. I would have gone with Varun Chakravarti, who's a better bowler when batters are looking to defend in the first few overs, and kept Sunil Narayan for a little later. But overall, impressed.
That's the question I'll take to Gautam now, because as Sanjay mentions, he kept Lockie Ferguson for Rishabh Pant, and that's what now takes me back to that approach that Rishabh had. If you knew that this was the sort of setup that they had, probably waited that one over out and then gone all out attack.
No, there was no point, to be honest, because that was anyways the 18th over of the inning as well. So he had to go hard if they wanted a competitive total on the board, and that's the reason I thought that the approach was fine. Had it come off, I absolutely agree with Dale that had it come off, they could have actually gone to 150 as well. So you got to realize the situation of the game as well. You can't just keep waiting and probably waiting for the second last or the last over. There's no surety that you'll be able to capitalize on the 19th or the 20th over, because there was Sunil Naran who was bowling the 90th and then Shivam Mavi. You can't take the game that late. So I thought it was the right approach as well. For me, I think when you spoke about Morgan's captaincy, yes, it was very good, but at the same time, life becomes much more easier when you've got four literally quality world-class bowlers. You've got Varun Chakravarti, Sunil Narayan, Shakib, and Lockie Ferguson. So life on this kind of a wicket with this kind of an attack is far more easy. You've got to achieve changes. But yes, from Rishabh's point of view, absolutely correct with his approach, because he had to take on the game from that particular point.
Gautam, I'm staying with you. You spoke about in the previous game, the way to play Sunil Narine. We saw a particular plan that Shikhar Dhawan came up with. He stayed in the crease. The only time he got out is when he really left his crease against Varun Chakravarti. But the way he played those two mystery spinners in the crease, and you could see that he was either looking to sweep the ball or pull the ball. Was that a strategy in play? And it clearly did work out for Shikhar today.
See, I was never a big sweeper of the ball. I probably would have actually looked to hit straight down the ground towards the side screen, especially to Varun Chakravarti or even Sunil Narayan, because mind you, they're not big spinners of the ball. They're not like Rashid Khan, or they're not like massive spinners who's going to take the ball away or probably get the ball back in. So try to look, probably use the offside, even as a left-hander or as a right-hander, look to target them, because they hate someone who can start hitting them down the ground, and probably would have used my feet a little bit more as well. Staying in the crease, yes, your options becomes very limited, because you can literally only sweep the ball, and there was always a chance, especially on this kind of a wicket. And that's the reason probably they played a lot of dot balls as well, because they were only looking to sweep or probably wanted to stay in the crease. Had they probably used the depth of the crease, or probably gone completely forward to the pitch of the ball, or probably gone right deep into the crease, they could have managed to rotate the strike much better. And that is the reason, yes, you can play those big shots, but ultimately it's about probably minimizing those dot balls as well against quality spinners, which actually Shikhar, or for that matter the entire batting lineup, failed.
Okay, plenty of talk about how the two teams had different set of idea when they went into this match as far as their bowling lineup is concerned. It was KKR that went with two fast bowlers. On the other hand, you've got Delhi Capitals now with three fast bowlers and a seamer of sort. Dale, now that you've had a look at the pitch, you think Delhi bowling attack probably better equipped now on a pitch that's staying a bit uneven, and when you really have those genuinely quick bowlers, it might be a tough task to bat on.
It's going to be really tough, especially the cross-batted shots, and I think if Delhi hold a good length and don't overpitch, it's going to be difficult to score runs. We've seen that the moments, especially in Sharjah, as soon as you go too full and you miss your length, it becomes not easy, but it becomes easier to bat, and then hitting straight down the ground to those short boundaries, like Gautam says, if you're looking to target the side screen, the best time to do it is when someone's bowling at your feet and fairly full, missing their length. When you bowl back of length and you start to look at those cross bat shots and it stays low, it becomes near impossible to score runs. So Delhi going to put up a good fight here. I mean, they have to win this to get into the final. They're going to go out all out attack. All the quicks are going to know what length to bowl, what length to zone in on, and if they miss their length, their captain's going to be pretty upset with them, because it's not going to be easy if you bowl and hold hard back of a length tonight.
Final word to you, Sanjay, and I'm just going to be looking at how the Delhi skipper now, because he came in for so much criticism last time around with the way he used his fast bowlers. How would you like to see him? There's a school of thought that might say that, listen, Rabada hasn't had a great time towards the end, so use him up top in the power play and then the middle overs, and keep Nokia right at the end. Maybe that one over to begin with, keep him for the death. How would you go about it?
Yeah, Nokia is in fact bowling the first over, and they've started off with a 4. And what happens when you bat second, the point that Gautam was making of, not rotating the strike as much, not taking too many singles, that's something that you will see, Kolkata batsmen doing, because they learn from the mistakes that, Delhi batters made. The one thing I'll say, though, is that we assume that Delhi is a quality bowling lineup. But maybe for this kind of a surface, not ideally suited, Kolkata had more sort of bowlers to really exploit the surface. And I'm looking at current form, which is very important in a big state T20 game. And when you look at Avesh Khan, he'll have to show his character today. And then you're looking at Ashwin, another bowler who has not set the stage on fire. So there are a few guys who are looking out of form, Rabada as well. So tonight is the night where they'll have to bring in their A game. And we'll see that if that happens with Avesh Khan, with Rabada and Ashwin, because Akshar Patel and Nokia have been phenomenal. So let's not assume that this is a quality bowling lineup. Just on pure form, current form, it's not right up there with the Kolkata bowling attack.
It's a big game, and if Avesh Khan needs any sort of inspiration, all he needs to do is look back at that last game that he played against the same team at the same cricket ground. He picked up 3 wickets, giving away just 13 runs from his 4 overs. So that's something that he can refer to. But thanks, gentlemen, for joining us in Gautam Gambhir, Dale Steyn, and Sanjay Manjrekar. Here's a stat before we wrap up. 5 games from the 7 have been won by teams that have been chasing. So it's advantage KKR at the moment. You are watching Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Quick Info.
Thank you.
We call it people technology.